This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. You ever notice how years slip by quiet? The way a river eats the bank, grain by grain. A man don't lose decades all at once. He loses them a day at a time, an hour at a time, telling himself he'll change tomorrow. Then tomorrow shows up looking just like yesterday. And one day he wakes with white in his beard and weight in his bones, asking where it all went. That drift, partner, not failure, not disaster. Drift, the silent killer of destiny. Most men ain't broken. They ain't cursed. They're just drifting. They know they're capable of more. Their gut been whispering it for years. But knowing ain't deciding, and deciding ain't acting. And acting once ain't the same as repeating until it becomes who you are. That the difference between the giants and the ghosts. King Solomon said, where there is no vision, the people perish. Vision means you ain't just waiting for life to hand you something. You're living by design, not by default. The drifter perishes not because he lacks food or shelter, but because he never chose to steer. I've studied the builders, Edison, who failed 1,000 times and called it learning. Ford, who saw cars for farmers before farmers could see them. Lincoln, who rose from nothing and endured loss after loss before shaping a nation. Schwab, who started as a steel worker and became a titan. Carnegie, who wrote his fortune in fire and iron. None of them drifted. They decided, they acted, and they repeated those acts until the world bent. But most men don't live that way. They wait, they wander, they wish. They think time itself will change them, as if the clock were some magician. But time don't change a man. Time only measures him. You change you, or you stay the same. And if you drift through 12 months without decision, you'll drift through 12 years. Hear a cowboy truth. A rider who lets his horse wander without reins don't just stand still. He ends up lost, miles from camp, with darkness falling and wolves in the distance. Drift don't keep you safe. Drift carries you somewhere you never meant to go. And drift always costs. It costs your dream because you never fed it. It costs your power because you wasted it. It costs your identity because repetition builds the man, and you've been repeating hesitation, excuses, overthinking, fear. That's why you feel hollow, not because you're weak, but because you've trained yourself to drift. But hear the law. Repetition built the weak you, and repetition must now build the strong you. You don't need more books, more speeches, more promises. You need reprogramming. You need to kill drift with decision, bury hesitation with rhythm, and build identity with daily obedience. Buffett calls it compounding, and it ain't just money, it's life. Compound interest works because of repetition, steady and unbroken. Skip, and the growth dies. Repeat, and the growth multiplies. Apply that to your days, and you'll see the truth. You are compounding a destiny, for better or worse. So I'll lay it plain. You've got 12 months ahead of you, 12 chapters, 365 chances. Who are you becoming with them? Another drifter or a builder? You don't get another set of years. You don't get to borrow back the ones you wasted. The only power you've got is today. The only weapon you've got is decision. And the only way to make it stick is repetition until the old you breaks under the weight of the new. That's why I tell you, don't just hear this once. Install it. Burn it into your mind. Return to it daily. Let it strip away every excuse you've been nursing. You don't need permission. You don't need luck. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is the moment you decide to stop drifting and start building. And when you do, life itself will shift. The fog will clear. The quicksand of hesitation will harden into a trail you can ride. The ghosts of regret will scatter, and the future will stand waiting, ready to be claimed. But it all begins with this choice: drift or decide. Waste another year or seize this one. Exist by default or live by design. The line is drawn right here by this fire. Which side are you on? Time, friend, is the only currency you can never earn back. You can lose gold and find more. You can lose cattle and breed more. You can lose land and buy more. But the minute that slips off the clock is gone forever. That's why drift is so dangerous. It don't just waste energy, it burns time, the most expensive treasure you've got. Every sunrise is a coin dropped in your hand. Every sunset is a coin spent. Most men spend it carelessly. as if the supply were endless. They waste their mornings in distraction, their afternoons in hesitation, their nights in regret. And when the years are tallied, they wonder why their barns are empty and their legacy is dust. Buffett has said, you can always tell someone priorities by looking at their calendar. Your schedule is your truth. You may speak of dreams, but your time reveals what you serve. And if your time is given to drift, then drift is your master. King Solomon warned, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Wisdom begins with the awareness that your days are limited. You don't have forever. You've only got so many seasons to plant, so many winters to endure, so many chances to build. To waste them in drift is the greatest poverty of all. Hear a cowboy truth. A rider who dawdles at dawn loses daylight. He may think he's resting, but by nightfall he hasn't reached water, hasn't reached camp, and the desert claims him. The one who rides early, who spends his daylight wisely, survives and thrives. Time is the trail. Waste it, and the trail wastes you. Now let me make this sharper. Time is compounding. What you do daily multiplies, not just in wealth, but in identity. Spend your days drifting, and you become drift. Spend your days building, and you become builder. Each day is not just a unit of time, it is a brick in your character. What you repeat becomes who you are. That's why drift is more costly than failure. Failure at least teaches. Failure at least scars you into wisdom. Drift teaches nothing, changes nothing, leaves nothing. It just burns time while you stand still. A man can recover from loss, but he cannot recover from years unlived. Think of it this way. You've got 12 months ahead, 365 coins. What are you buying with them? Comfort, distraction, excuses, or destiny, discipline, and wealth? The ledger doesn't lie. Every day you drift, you're paying for regret. Every day you decide, you're investing in legacy. The harshest truth a man can face is this: the future does not improve by accident. It improves only when you design it. The clock don't care about your excuses. The calendar don't care about your feelings. The years will roll by whether you act or not. The only question is, what will they roll over? Barns filled or barns empty? Dreams built or dreams buried? Most men repeat the same year 10 times and call it progress. They talk big at the year beginning, but by spring they drift. By summer they're distracted. By autumn they're discouraged. By winter they're resigned. Then January comes and they promise again. But nothing changes because they never decide. But the builders, the men history remembers, they don't drift. They seize time like gold. They invest it with precision. They repeat the right rhythms until the future bends. And because they guard their hours, their days compound into decades of fortune. So hear the law: treat time as currency. Spend it with care. Invest it with purpose. Refuse to burn it on drift, on hesitation, on excuses. For every coin of time you spend today is shaping the man you'll meet tomorrow. And hear the sharper edge. Wasting time is not just a crime against yourself, it is theft from your children. Every hour you drift is an inheritance denied, a legacy weakened, a future stolen. But every hour you invest is wealth multiplied, wisdom preserved, destiny secured. So wake tomorrow knowing this: the sun has handed you another coin. Don't waste it, don't drift, don't delay. Spend it building, spend it obeying, spend it investing. And when night falls, you'll know that the coin was not lost, but multiplied. And when your trail is long behind you, when your fire burns low, you'll see that the wealth you built was not just dollars in a bank, but days well spent. That is legacy. That is freedom. That is the law of time. Picture it plain: the last day of your trail, the fire burning low, the horizon fading, your breath slowing. What will stand beside you then? Not the gold you stacked, not the land you bought, not the noise of applause, only your memory of what you did and what you did not. And the harshest truth of all is this: most men will not die of failure, they will die of regret. Regret is the ghost of wasted time. It shows up at the end, tall and merciless, and it points to the years you gave away. It points to the dreams you never touched, the discipline you never installed, the choices you never made. It whispers, you could have been more, but you drifted. And the man who hears that whisper has no answer, because it's true. King Solomon said, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. But that only true if the end is filled with the fruit of decision, not the rod of hesitation. The beginning is easy. Every man starts with fire in January, but the end is the test. And only the man who built daily, who obeyed the law of consistency, who refused drift, dies without regret. Buffett himself has spoken of an inner scorecard. On the deathbed, you won't care what the crowd thought. You'll care whether you lived true to your own design, whether you spent your time with purpose, whether you obeyed your own law. That scorecard cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It is written daily, and it will read true at the end. Hear a cowboy truth. A rider at the end of his drive don't measure himself by the storms he faced, but by whether the herd made it to market. He don't care what the other riders thought of his speed, his style, his looks. He only cares whether he finished the job, whether the cattle arrived, whether the work was done. That legacy, that the deathbed test. Now hear this sharp drift. Don't feel heavy in the moment. A wasted day feels light. A wasted year feels tolerable. But wasted decades, they crush a man at the end. He remembers the chances he had, the strength he once held, the youth he once wasted, and he knows he cannot buy them back. That weight is unbearable. That's why I say regret is the heaviest thing a man can carry, and it waits for those who drift. But the man who decides, who obeys rhythm, who invests time like gold, who builds before he rests, he dies light. His barn's full, his name strong, his family blessed. He looks back and smiles, not because he was perfect, not because he never failed, but because he never drifted. His failures became lessons, his delays became wisdom, his discipline became legacy, and regret finds no hold on him. So here is the law. Live today as if the end were tomorrow. Test every action by the deathbed question, will this matter at the end? Will I regret not doing it? Will I regret wasting this day? If the answer is yes, then act. If the answer is no, then strip it away. Let death itself sharpen your discipline. Let it burn away the fog of excuses. Most men wait until the end to see clearly. They wait until their strength is gone, until their chances are behind them, until their fire is ash. Then they see what mattered, but it's too late. The wise man sees now. The wise man looks from the end backward, and he builds today with that vision. Here the sharper edge, death is certain. Regret is optional. The difference is drift. Drift writes regret into your bones. Decision writes peace into your soul. So I ask you plain, if this year repeats the last, what will your deathbed look like? Will you smile at the work or weep at the waste? The choice ain't in the future. It ain't in the clock. It right here, right now with you. And when the years are gone, when the fire dies low, when the trail is done, you'll want one thing to know: you live by design, not default. That you built, not drifted. That you endured, not wasted. That you left no room for regret. That, partner, is the deathbed test. Pass it daily, and the end will not frighten you. Fail it daily, and the end will crush you. The choice is yours, and the clock is ticking. Urgency, friend, is the pulse of destiny. Without it, dreams wither. Without it, plans collect dust. Without it, years pass quiet as a thief until nothing remains but regret. Most men don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they wait. The deadliest lie ever whispered into a man's ear is tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll decide. Tomorrow I'll change. But tomorrow never arrives. Tomorrow is a mirage. And while a man waits for it, today is slipping through his fingers, coin by coin, moment by moment. King Solomon said, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring." He knew the truth. You may not get tomorrow. You may not get another year. You may not even get another dawn. Your only guarantee is the breath in your chest right now. And if you waste it, you gamble with everything. Buffett has built his fortune on patience, yes, but don't confuse patience with passivity. Patience waits inside the plan. Urgency starts the plan. Buffett doesn't delay. He doesn't drift. He acts when the law demands, then he waits for the compounding to work. That is urgency married to patience, swift action, steady endurance. Hear a cowboy truth. A rider who sees a storm on the horizon and says, "I'll move camp tomorrow," won't have a herd left by dawn. Delay kills quicker than storms. Delay is its own disaster. The one who acts today, who gathers the cattle, who ties the horses, who secures the firewood, survives the storm. The one who waits is swept away. Most men waste years not because they lack dreams, but because they lack urgency. They think they've got time. They think opportunity will circle back. But opportunity is a fast horse. If you don't mount it when it arrives, it's gone. And here the law: hesitation costs more than failure. Fail and you can learn, adjust, rise again. Hesitate and you get nothing. No lesson, no harvest, no scar to remind you, just emptiness, just wasted ground. Urgency means acting now, not later. Deciding now, not waiting. Building now, not hoping. Every empire was born from an urgent moment. The choice to start, the choice to strike, the choice to obey without delay. Carnegie didn't wait for perfect steel. He built with what he had. Edison didn't wait for the 10,000th certainty. He failed forward, urgent in his persistence. Ford didn't wait for applause. He assembled quietly, urgently, until the car rolled out. You think waiting keeps you safe, but waiting is the most expensive habit a man can have. Every day you wait, you lose compounding. Every day you drift, you lose momentum. Every day you hesitate, the cost of starting grows heavier. The river don't wait for the drifter to climb in, it keeps flowing. The seasons don't wait for the farmer to plant, they turn regardless. The law don't wait for you to obey, it rewards the urgent and it punishes the hesitant. Hear the sharper truth, urgency is not panic, urgency is clarity. Panic scrambles, urgency acts, panic burns energy, urgency channels it. Urgency doesn't mean rushing blindly, it means refusing drift, refusing delay, refusing excuses. It means saying, today is the only day I've got, and I will not waste it. So ask yourself plain, what are you putting off? What dream sits waiting? What plan lies gathering dust? What decision have you postponed for so long it has become a chain? That chain will not break tomorrow, it breaks only now. Every day is a gate, walk through it, and it closes behind you. Wait, and it closes anyway. You either pass through with purpose, or you let it slam shut with nothing gained. That is urgency. And when your years are tallied, when your fire burns low, you'll see that the men who lived full were not the most gifted, nor the most lucky, nor the most brilliant. They were the most urgent. They refused tomorrow. They chose today. That, partner, is the law of urgency. Seize the coin of time in your hand. Spend it with purpose. Act now. Build now. Begin now. For tomorrow is a lie, and today is all you've got. Design, friend, is the difference between builders and wanderers. A man without design may work hard. He may sweat. He may strain, but his effort scatters like dust in the wind. A man with design may work no harder, but every strike of his hammer lands true. Every step carries him closer. Every day compounds into destiny. Most men live by default, not design. They wake when the clock shoves them. They work where others send them. They spend how others teach them. They speak words they don't mean and walk paths they never chose. And at the end, they wonder why their life feels empty. It's because they never designed it. King Solomon wrote, "Through wisdom is a house built, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with precious riches." That design. First the plan, then the building, then the filling. Not chance, not drift, design. Buffett himself built Berkshire not by accident, not by gambling, but by design. He chose businesses carefully, held them deliberately, compounded them patiently. There was a blueprint behind the fortune. Without it, even Buffett's brilliance would have scattered like a shotgun blast. Design was the rifle that aimed his fire. Hear a cowboy truth. A rancher who don't map his fences loses cattle. He can ride all day, but if the land isn't planned, the herd drifts, predators slip in, and his work amounts to nothing. The wise rancher surveys his land, lays his posts, sets his lines, then his cattle multiply within order. That design. Design begins with decision. Who do you want to become? What will you build? Where will you aim? Without these answers, you're drifting, no matter how hard you work. But once you decide, once you draw the map, the law bends to you. Your days begin to align. Your energy finds a channel. Your life gains direction. But hear the sharp truth. Design demands clarity. Most men never design because they fear to choose. They want to keep every option open, so they choose none. They want to walk every trail, so they walk none. They want to be everything, so they become nothing. But design requires sacrifice. You must let go of the vague to seize the definite, and design requires order. The law of wealth does not bless chaos. Your time must be ordered, your habits ordered, your thoughts ordered. Random effort builds random results. Ordered effort builds empire. Think of a house. You don't start with bricks thrown at random. You start with a blueprint. You measure, you lay the foundation, you build according to plan. A life is no different. Without blueprint, you may pile up some stones, but you'll never have a house. Only design creates dwelling, and here the harder edge. Design without execution is fantasy. Too many men draw maps they never walk. They fill journals, but not barns. They sketch dreams, but never sweat for them. That is not design, that is delusion. True design is vision tied to discipline, plan tied to persistence, thought tied to action. So here is the law. Do not drift, do not wander, do not wait for life to hand you direction. Design it, draw it, decide it, then obey it daily. Let every hour serve the blueprint. Let every habit align with the map, and in time, what you imagined will stand before you, as real as stone, as lasting as oak. Buffett once said, "An idiot with a plan can beat a genius without a plan." That is design. Talent without blueprint drifts, but even modest talent, tied to clear design, compounds into greatness. So ask yourself, what is your design? Where are your fences? Where is your blueprint? Who is the man you are building? For if you do not design it, you will drift into a life you never wanted, and at the end, you will regret not what you lost, but what you never mapped. But designed, obeyed daily, guarantees legacy. It guarantees wealth. It guarantees peace. Not because chance favored you, but because you built on law. And when your trail is long, when the fire burns low, when the rain softens to mist, you'll look back and see a life that did not happen by accident, but by design. And your barns, your herds, your name will testify. Here was a man who lived by blueprint, not by drift. That, partner, is the law of design. Decide it, map it, build it. For the future does not improve by accident. It improves only by design. Identity, friend, is the bedrock beneath all discipline. You can push yourself for a season. You can force a habit for a month. You can ride on sheer will for a while. But if your actions don't reach your core, you'll drift back to who you've always been. A man can only fake for so long. Eventually, he defaults to his identity. That's why most resolutions die before spring. A man tries to run on borrowed fire. He says, "I'll wake early," but in his heart, he still sees himself as lazy. He says, "I'll build wealth," but deep down, he still calls himself broke. He says, "I'll endure," but his identity is still the drifter. And so when pressure comes, he breaks. Not because he lacked effort, but because he never changed who he was. King Solomon wrote, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Not what he says, not what he shows, but what he believes at the deepest level. Identity commands action. Identity shapes destiny. A man cannot live higher than the story he tells himself. Buffett built his fortune not by acting rich, but by being an investor to his core. He didn't put on the mask of patience. Patience became his nature. He didn't pretend to value discipline. Discipline was his blood. That's why his wealth endures, because it is not a costume he wears. It is his identity. Hear a cowboy truth. A rider can dress like a cowboy, talk like a cowboy, swagger like a cowboy. But when the storm hits, the herd scatters, and the night grows long, his true identity shows. If he a pretender, he quits. If he a cowboy in bone and spirit, he endures. Identity decides. And hear the sharper truth, identity is built by repetition. You become what you repeat. Every thought, every word, every action is a seed planted in your soul. Plant laziness daily, and laziness becomes who you are. Plant discipline daily, and discipline becomes who you are. Plant fear, and you live afraid. Plant faith, and you live bold. The law doesn't bend. Identity is repetition, solidified. That's why I tell you, if repetition built the weak you, repetition must now build the strong you. You don't need more information. You don't need more speeches. You need reprogramming. And reprogramming comes only by daily repetition until the old identity breaks under the weight of the new. So here is the law. Stop trying to act successful. Stop trying to pretend discipline. Instead, decide who you are. Decide your identity. Say, "I am the man who rises daily. I am the man who never skips. I am the man who builds by design, not by drift." Then repeat it daily until your actions and your words and your very spirit align. Think of the blacksmith. He heats iron and strikes it again and again. At first it resists, but repetition shapes it into a blade. Identity is no different. The old self resists, but repetition shapes it into the new. And here the harder edge, identity is contagious. Your family will live not by your speeches, but by your identity. Your children will repeat what you repeat. If you are drift, they will drift. If you are disciplined, they will be disciplined. Your legacy is not words carved in stone, it is identity carved in blood. Buffett once said, "Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." He was talking about identity. Habits repeated quietly, daily, shape you until they become who you are. Then they command you, for better or worse. The only way to break them is to replace them with new chains, forged by deliberate repetition. So ask yourself plain, who are you becoming? Not what are you trying, not what are you wishing, but who are you becoming by daily repetition? That answer will decide your fortune. And when your fire burns low, when your years are tallied, when your trail is done, the world won't remember every word you said, nor every plan you scribbled. It will remember who you were. And who you were will be nothing more and nothing less than what you repeated daily until it became identity. That, partner, is the law of identity. Not what you fake, not what you show, but who you are. And who you are is built by repetition.
Change your repetition and you change your destiny. Discipline, friend, is the daily guardrail that keeps a man from wandering off the trail. It ain't flashy, it ain't loud, but it is the difference between a rider who reaches camp and a rider who dies in the dust.
Most men misunderstand discipline. They think it punishment. They think it chains. But discipline is not bondage, it is freedom. Discipline is choosing the hard thing now so you can have the easy life later. Indiscipline is choosing the easy thing now and paying with hardship later. Either way, you'll pay. Discipline just lets you pay up front and in smaller coins. King Solomon wrote, "He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down and without walls. Without discipline, you are defenseless. Your walls are down. Any distraction, any temptation, any drift can walk in and plunder you. But the man who rules his spirit, the disciplined man, is fortified. His wealth, his wisdom, his peace are guarded." Buffett lives this law daily. His discipline is legendary. He refuses what does not fit his plan. He avoids what others chase. He stays within his circle of competence, investing only where his discipline says yes. That's why he compounds while others collapse. His discipline protects him more than his intelligence ever could. Hear a cowboy truth: a horse without reins will wander into ravines. A herd without fences will scatter to wolves. A man without discipline will drift into ruin. But with reins, with fences, with discipline, the same horse carries you far. The same herd multiplies. The same man builds legacy. Discipline is not about doing what feels good. It is about doing what is required. Feelings are fickle. They rise and fall like the wind. But discipline is steady. It keeps you riding when you're tired, keeps you building when you're bored, keeps you obeying when no one is watching. Most men rely on motivation. They wait for the spark, the fire, the inspiration. But motivation fades. Discipline remains. That's why the crowd starts loud in January and is silent by March. They were fueled by motivation, not discipline. The builders, the giants, the legends, they don't wait for fire. They light their own every morning with discipline. Hear the sharper truth: discipline must be daily. One act of discipline means nothing. A week of discipline builds little. But years of daily obedience shape destiny. Every day you return to your post, you add another stone to the wall. Every day you refuse to skip, you strengthen the fence. Every day you obey, you sharpen identity. And over decades, those walls, those fences, that identity become unbreakable. But skip and the wall cracks. Drift and the fence collapses. Excuse and the identity weakens. That's why discipline cannot be occasional. It must be constant. Think of the farmer. He doesn't plow only when he feels like it. He plows daily, or the field dies. He doesn't water when it's convenient. He waters when it's required, or the harvest fails. His discipline is not for show. It is survival. So here's the law. Discipline yourself, or life will discipline you. Refuse to rise early, and poverty will rise in your place. Refuse to save, and debt will master you. Refuse to build, and regret will build chains around you. The man who will not rule himself will be ruled by everything else. Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." That discipline. Not the ability to do more, but the ability to refuse what does not serve the design. And here the harder edge: discipline is lonely. While others feast, you work. While others play, you prepare. While others sleep, you rise. You may be mocked, doubted, forgotten. But in the end, when the barns are full and the herds are fat, the mockers will vanish, and the disciplined man will inherit. So ask yourself plain: are you ruling your spirit, or is it ruling you? Are you master of your habits, or servant to them? Are you walking by design, or drifting by desire? For when your trail is long behind you, when the fire dies low, when the years are tallied, you'll see the truth. It wasn't talent, luck, or brilliance that made the difference. It was discipline. Daily, unbroken, steady as the sunrise. That, partner, is the law of discipline. Guard it, obey it, live it, and the world itself will bend to you. Mastery, friend, is the crown earned only through long obedience. It ain't given, it ain't borrowed, it ain't stumbled upon by luck. Mastery is forged in the furnace of repetition, hammered on the anvil of discipline, cooled in the waters of endurance. Every giant you admire, every builder you study, every fortune you envy, mastery is their true foundation. Most men never taste mastery because they quit too soon. They dabble. They flirt with their calling. They start strong, but when the fire fades or the storm rises, they drift. They want results quick, applause fast, success overnight. But mastery laughs at haste. Mastery bows only to consistency across years, sometimes decades. King Solomon wrote, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings, he shall not stand before mean men." Diligence, steady and unbroken, births mastery. The man who tends his craft daily, without excuse, without skipping, without wandering, that man becomes rare, and the rare man cannot be ignored. Buffett proves it. His mastery is not of every industry, not of every scheme, not of every gamble. His mastery is focus, value, compounding, patience. And because he mastered that narrow lane, the world bends to him. He does not chase markets. Markets chase him. That is mastery. Hear a cowboy truth: any fool can swing a rope, but only the master roper can catch a steer at full gallop. Any rider can sit a saddle, but only the master can read the horse, feel its spirit, guide it with whispers instead of force. Mastery separates the cowhand from the cowboy, the beginner from the legend, and the only road to mastery is discipline repeated until it becomes instinct. Mastery is identity perfected. It is no longer something you try, it is who you are. The blacksmith no longer thinks, "How do I strike?" His hammer moves like breath. The investor no longer asks, "Should I be patient?" His patience is his blood. The builder no longer wonders, "Can I endure?" Endurance is his nature. Mastery is when the law is no longer external, it is written inside you. And hear the sharper truth: mastery is narrow. You cannot master everything. You must choose. Scatter your effort across 100 paths and you'll master none. Focus your effort on one trail, one craft, one design, and mastery will be yours. Most men drift because they cannot choose. The master rises because he chose once and repeated daily until the trail was carved deep. Think of the farmer. He masters the soil by tending it season after season. He learns its moods, its secrets, its rhythms. In time, he can read the rain, smell the harvest, sense the coming frost. That knowledge don't come in a day. It comes by endurance. And because he masters his land multiplies for him. So here is the law. Do not dabble, do not scatter, do not wander. Choose your craft, choose your aim, choose your design. Then obey it daily until you no longer think, you simply are. That is mastery. Most men die as dabblers. They tried many things but built nothing. They chased every wind but planted no seed. They lived wide but shallow. The master, though, lives narrow but deep, and the deeper he goes, the more the world bends to him. For mastery is rare, and the rare man is priceless. And mastery carries with it honor. Others must bow to the master. Kings called on Solomon because his wisdom was proven. Tycoons bent to Carnegie because his steel was unmatched. Nations shifted for Ford because his system worked. None of them drifted, none of them scattered, all of them mastered. Buffett once said, "You only have to do a very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong." That is mastery distilled. Choose a few things, do them right. Repeat until the world itself cannot deny you. So ask yourself plain, what will you master? What trail will you carve so deep that others can't help but follow it? For without mastery, your life will scatter. But with mastery, your life will command. And when your trail is long, when your fire dies low, when your name is carved in memory, you'll see the truth. It was not talent, not luck, not brilliance that built your legacy. It was mastery. Daily discipline, repeated until instinct, until identity, until command. That, partner, is the law of mastery. Narrow your aim, obey it daily, endure until it becomes you, and the world itself will bow. Legacy, friend, is the trail you leave behind when your riding days are over. It ain't just money, it ain't just barns or land or titles carved in stone. Legacy is identity handed down. Legacy is rhythm repeated through generations. Legacy is what speaks of you long after your voice is gone. Most men never think of legacy until it's too late. They live small, drift daily, waste years, and only at the end do they wonder, what will I leave behind? By then, the answer already written. You don't build legacy in the last season of life. You build it every dawn, every decision, every act of discipline, every day you refuse drift. King Solomon wrote, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children." He wasn't speaking only of silver and gold. He was speaking of rhythm, of wisdom, of the law itself. Wealth without wisdom disappears in a single generation, but wisdom with wealth multiplies for centuries. Buffett knows this law well. His fortune is vast, but he made it plain. Money alone is not the legacy. Principles, discipline, value, these are what endure. His children inherit not just wealth, but a model, a rhythm, an identity forged in decades of daily discipline. Here a cowboy truth: a ranch don't outlive a man because of the cattle. Cattle are sold, lost, scattered. A ranch outlives a man because of the fences he built, the land he worked, the habits he taught his sons, the respect he commanded from his neighbors. That is legacy, not the herd, but the way to tend it. And here the sharper truth: drift is legacy too. A father who drifts leaves drift in his children. A man who wastes years teaches waste by example. His legacy is not what he hoped to give, but what he repeated daily. You cannot pass on what you did not practice. Legacy begins in small acts. A child watching his father rise early learns that rising is normal. A wife seeing her husband keep his word learns trust. Workers watching their master endure storms learn that endurance is law. Long after the man is gone, the echo of his rhythm continues. That is legacy. Most men think legacy is written in speeches, carved on tombstones, celebrated in eulogies. But tombstones fade, speeches are forgotten. Legacy is written in habits, in rhythms, in structures that endure. The way you treat your time, the way you guard your word, the way you build your barns and tend your herds, that is the inheritance you leave. And legacy compounds. The disciplined father raises disciplined sons. The drifting father raises drifting sons. The cycle continues, generation after generation, unless one man decides to break it. One man can change the legacy of his bloodline forever. One man who decides the drift ends with me. From this day, my name stands for discipline, for abundance, for wisdom. That decision, obeyed daily, changes centuries. Think of it like a river. A river carves not just valleys, but entire landscapes, feeding forests, shaping plains, carrying life downstream. Your life is that river. Its flow will reach far beyond you. Drift and you carve confusion. Discipline and you carve destiny. So here is the law. Live daily as if your great-grandchildren are watching, because they are. The rhythm you build will echo in their bones. The choices you make will ripple into their lives. The discipline you install will guard them long after your fire dies. Buffett once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." That legacy. Plant the tree now, even if you'll never sit beneath it. Your children will thank you for the shade, and here the edge that cuts. Legacy will be written whether you want it or not. You don't get to choose if you leave one. You only get to choose which one. Drift or discipline, weakness or strength, regret or wisdom. So ask yourself plain, if you left this world tonight, what would your name stand for? What would your children say? What rhythm would they inherit? For the answer is already being written in your habits, in your time, in your repetition. And when your trail is long, when the fire burns low, when your name is spoken by generations unborn, you'll want them to say not just, "He lived, but he built. He endured. He gave us rhythm. He gave us shade. He gave us legacy." That, partner, is the law of legacy. Decide it, build it, live it, for the echo of your rhythm will outlast you, shaping the world long after you're gone. Multiplication, friend, is the natural law of rhythm. What you repeat doesn't just shape you, it multiplies into others. Your habits ripple outward, your discipline inspires, your words plant seed, your example reproduces itself in ways you may never see. You don't just build yourself, you multiply yourself. Most men think too small. They think only of their own barns, their own herds, their own fortunes. But the law of multiplication don't stop at your fence line. The man of discipline multiplies order in his family, in his workers, in his neighbors. The drifter multiplies drift the same way. Legacy isn't just inheritance, it's contagion. King Solomon said, "The lips of the righteous feed many." What he meant is this: the man who lives by wisdom multiplies that wisdom into others. His rhythm becomes nourishment, his habits become provision, his life feeds lives beyond his own. Buffett has lived this law without shouting it. He doesn't multiply by scattering himself wide. He multiplies by compounding narrow truths over decades, and those truths ripple outward. Investors study him, businesses model him, generations quote him. His rhythm has multiplied far beyond Omaha because compounding was never just financial, it was human. Hear a cowboy truth: a single spark, steady and sheltered, can light a campfire. That campfire can light torches. Those torches can light other fires across the plain. Before long, the whole night is burning from one flame. Multiplication is the law of fire and of discipline. Your flame, guarded steady, will light more than you ever imagined. And hear the sharper truth: multiplication is neutral. A man who multiplies discipline builds kingdoms. A man who multiplies drift destroys them. Fear multiplies, laziness multiplies, weakness multiplies. Every soul you touch either rises or falls by the rhythm you live. That's why the law of multiplication is both a gift and a warning. Think of a farmer. One seed sown faithfully multiplies into a harvest of hundreds. That harvest feeds families which plant more seed, which feed more. In time, one man's diligence feeds a nation. That is multiplication. And your life works the same. Every disciplined act sows seed in the ground of others. Every consistent rhythm plants roots in their souls. Most men never see their multiplication because it works in silence. A son who saw his father rise daily rises too. A worker who watched his master endure storms endures his own. A neighbor who saw his friend give faithfully learns to give. It may take years, even decades, but the law works. Your rhythm becomes their rhythm. And here the hardest edge: you are multiplying something, whether you know it or not. Your family is catching your habits. Your workers are reflecting your discipline or lack of it. Your friends are echoing your talk. Your children will inherit your patterns. Multiplication is not optional. The only choice you have is what you multiply. So here is the law. Live with the awareness that every act is seed. Guard what you plant. Protect what you repeat. For what you do in secret will echo in public. What you do daily will ripple into generations, and the ripple will grow into waves that shape more lives than you'll ever count. Buffett once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree long ago." But hear the fuller truth that one tree dropped seed. Those seeds became orchards. Those orchards fed nations. That is multiplication, one act faithfully repeated, echoing far beyond the man who began it. Ask yourself plain, what are you multiplying? Drift or discipline? Fear or faith? Excuses or endurance? For your multiplication will not stop at you. It will roll on, shaping others, feeding others, echoing into places you'll never see. And when your trail is long, when your fire burns low, when your name is carried by tongues that never met you, you'll see the truth. Your rhythm did not stay yours. It multiplied. It became theirs. And through them, it became the world land. That, partner, is the law of multiplication. Guard it, obey it. For what you sow daily will never end with you. It will multiply into eternity. Inheritance, friend, is not just what you leave behind. It's what you build into those who follow. Gold can be stolen. Land can be divided. Cattle can be scattered. But the rhythm of a man, the wisdom of his choices, the structure of his discipline, those are the true inheritance, the ones that cannot be taxed, stolen, or spent away. Most men confuse inheritance with money. They labor only to stack coins for their children, thinking wealth alone will secure them. But wealth without wisdom is fire in the hands of fools. It burns quick and it leaves nothing but ash. That's why so many fortunes vanish in one generation. The sons inherit the money, but not the law that built it. They eat the fruit, but never learn how to tend the tree. King Solomon knew this well. He wrote, "An inheritance quickly gained at the beginning will not be blessed at the end." Why? Because money without mastery destroys. Wealth without discipline collapses. Inheritance is not riches alone, it is rhythm. It is instruction. It is the law passed down as compass. Buffett himself has said he will not hand his children vast sums unguarded, because he knows it would rob them of hunger, rob them of drive. Instead, he passes them the wisdom of compounding, the law of patience, the rhythm of decision. That is inheritance. Not the pile of gold, but the blueprint for building it again. Hear a cowboy truth. A rancher who leaves his sons cattle but no fences leaves them prey to wolves. A rancher who leaves land but no knowledge of irrigation leaves them drought. But the rancher who teaches his sons to ride, to mend, to guard, to sow, he leaves inheritance that no storm can destroy. Inheritance is not a transfer, it is a training. It is the daily example set, the habits repeated in front of watchful eyes, the wisdom spoken and lived until it becomes the bones of the next generation. Your children inherit not what you give, but what you are. And hear the sharper truth. You are already writing inheritance, whether you know it or not. Your family is inheriting your habits. They are inheriting your speech. They are inheriting your rhythm. If you are drift, they are learning drift. If you are disciplined, they are learning discipline. If you rise daily, they learn rising is normal. If you skip, they learn skipping is acceptable. Your inheritance is not just in your will, it is in your ways. So here is the law. Build an inheritance worth more than gold. Build fences of wisdom. Build barns of structure. Build herds of discipline. Build rivers of faith. And yes, build wealth, but wealth that rests on the bedrock of law, so it endures beyond one generation. Most men never think long enough to see this. They labor for their own comfort, not their children's freedom. They waste years on distraction, leaving nothing but scraps behind, and then they wonder why their names are forgotten. The truth is simple. If you build only for yourself, your inheritance dies with you. If you build for others, your inheritance lives forever. Think of Abraham. His wealth was vast, but his true inheritance was covenant. Think of Solomon. His riches were unmatched, but his true inheritance was wisdom written down, preserved through centuries. Think of Buffett. His billions matter, yes, but his true inheritance is the law of compounding, modeled so clearly that millions of strangers now live by it. So ask yourself plain, what will your children inherit? Empty barns and broken fences? Or rhythm, law, discipline, wisdom? For they will inherit something, you cannot escape it. The only choice is whether that inheritance builds them or breaks them. And when your trail is long, when the fire burns low, when your bones are dust and your name is spoken only in memory, your inheritance will still be alive. It will live in the choices your children make, in the strength of your family name, in the wealth they multiply, in the wisdom they repeat. That, partner, is the law of inheritance. Do not waste it. Do not think it just about gold. Build wisdom, build discipline, build law. Pass it on, not only in words, but in daily rhythm. For what you leave in them will outlast what you leave to them.